5. Reheated foods that increase the risk of pancreatic cancer. Take a moment and think about what you did in your kitchen this week. You cooked a large pot of rice because it's easier that way. You kept the leftover fried chicken from last night because throwing it away felt wasteful. You reheated the sautéed spinach from the day before yesterday. You recycled the roasted potatoes from the weekend. All of that is completely normal. Hundreds of millions of people do the exact same things every day, every week, every year, and almost none of them have ever been warned about what I'm going to tell you today. I'm Dr. Atul Gawande. I've been working in medicine long enough to sit across from patients receiving diagnoses that nobody ever wants to hear. And the question I hear most often in those conversations is not, how do I treat this? It's, why didn't anyone warn me about this sooner? That is the question I don't want you to ever have to ask. Today, I'm going to talk to you about 5 specific foods. Not exotic foods, not anything rare or unusual. These are things sitting in your refrigerator right now, at this exact moment. And when you heat them a second time, something changes inside them. A change your eyes cannot see, your nose cannot smell, your tongue cannot detect. But your body is quietly paying the price for it. Before we get into each food, I need to tell you about an organ that most people almost never think about until it's too late. The pancreas. And its dangerous silence. Your pancreas sits deep in your abdomen, behind your stomach, tucked between your duodenum and your spleen. It does 2 extraordinarily important things every single day that you never feel. It produces digestive enzymes, and it regulates insulin to control your blood sugar. It never complains. It doesn't hurt when it's being damaged. It doesn't swell in a way you'd notice. It sends you no warning signals, while damage is quietly accumulating inside it over months and years. That is why pancreatic cancer has a 5-year survival rate of under 12%. Under 12%. Because by the time you feel something wrong enough to go to a doctor, by the time you receive your results, in the overwhelming majority of cases, the cancer has already spread beyond the point where anything meaningful can be done. Not because medicine lacks the capability, but because the pancreas never gives you the chance to catch it early. So the only real way to protect it is to avoid creating the conditions for cancer to begin in the first place. And that starts with the habits you repeat in your kitchen every week without a second thought. Let's begin with the first food. And I want to start with the one that I think will surprise you most. Food. Number 1. Reheated rice. I know this sounds absurd. Rice is the most basic, most ordinary, most seemingly harmless food in existence. Billions of people eat reheated leftover rice every single day. But hidden inside your pot of rice, from the very moment it stopped cooking and began to cool, a biological process has been quietly unfolding that most people have never once been warned about. I need to introduce you to a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. This organism is present in raw rice from any supermarket anywhere in the world. Cooking kills the active bacteria, but it does not kill the spores. A spore is a hardened biological survival structure that certain bacteria produce specifically to survive conditions that would otherwise destroy them. Boiling water cannot eliminate them. Normal cooking temperatures cannot touch them. They sit dormant in your perfectly cooked rice, completely invisible, completely undetectable by any smell or taste, waiting for the temperature to drop into their ideal multiplication range. And that range is exactly the temperature of your kitchen counter as the rice cools after cooking. The moment the temperature drops, those spores wake up. They multiply. They produce toxins. And here is the detail that matters most. One of those toxins is heat stable. When you microwave that rice the next day, you kill the live bacteria. But the toxin they already produced, while they were multiplying your microwave, cannot touch it. It survives the reheating completely intact and enters your body in full working order. Think of it this way. Imagine a factory producing toxic chemicals in your basement without your knowledge. You find out and shut it down. You turn off every machine, but the barrels already produced before you shut it down are still sitting there in the warehouse. Your microwave shuts down the factory, but the barrels are already in your bowl, and you're about to eat them. Here is the connection to your pancreas. Repeated low-level exposure to these toxins, even without full-blown food poisoning every single time, creates chronic low-grade inflammation throughout your entire digestive tract. And science has clearly mapped what researchers call the gut-pancreas axis. Your gut and your pancreas share blood supply, lymphatic drainage, and inflammatory signaling pathways. A chronically inflamed gut sends those inflammatory signals directly to your pancreas. Every time, without exception. How many days has the rice in your refrigerator been sitting there right now? 1 day? 3 days? A week? That number tells you exactly how much risk you have been quietly accepting. The fix. Cool cooked rice within 1 hour of cooking. Spread it wide and shallow rather than piling it deep. More surface area means faster cooling, which means less time for those spores to activate. Eat it within 24 hours. Reheat it fully until steaming hot throughout. And after reheating once, don't put it back in the fridge. These are not complicated rules. They are simply rules that most people have never been told. Food number 2. Reheated leafy greens. I know this sounds contradictory. Leafy greens are something that everyone, including myself, has recommended patients eat more of for years. They appear on every superfoods list ever written. Every nutrition expert on the planet calls them among the healthiest foods you can eat. And when you heat them a second time, they turn into something that should not be on your plate. Picture a Sunday evening. You cook a beautiful pan of sautéed spinach with garlic and olive oil. Deep green, wilted perfectly. You feel genuinely good about yourself. You're eating your greens. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. You put the leftovers in a container in the fridge. Monday lunch. You take it out and microwave it for 90 seconds. It smells exactly the same, looks exactly the same, tastes exactly the same. And while you're eating it, that second round of heat has just triggered a chemical reaction inside that spinach that the World Health Organization has officially linked to cancer risk. Here is what's happening inside that container. All leafy greens, spinach, kale, chard, arugula, contain naturally occurring compounds called nitrates. Fresh and raw, they are completely harmless, zero problem. But when you cook these vegetables and let them sit, bacteria naturally present in the food begin converting those harmless nitrates into something called nitrites. And when you apply heat a second time, those nitrites react with amino acids in the food and form compounds called nitrosamines. Burn that word into your memory. Nitrosamines. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies nitrosamines as probable human carcinogens, and they are genotoxic, meaning they go directly into the nucleus of your cells and damage your DNA not from the outside, but from within the genetic machinery itself. Think of your DNA as the master blueprint your body uses to build and repair everything. Nitrosamines are like someone breaking into the blueprint room every few days and quietly changing one measurement, erasing one instruction. Your repair systems catch most of it, but not all of it. Over months and years of repeated exposure, the accumulated damage in that blueprint starts producing cells that don't behave the way they should. Once nitrosamines enter your bloodstream after that reheated spinach, they travel to every organ your blood reaches. And your pancreas is called into the detoxification effort repeatedly, week after week, bathing in genotoxic compounds while simultaneously being forced into chronic biochemical stress. The fix. Eat your cooked greens cold. Cold. Cooked spinach in a grain bowl. Tossed into a salad, folded into a wrap. Every nutrient is still there. Zero nitrosamine formation because there is no second heat. If you need them warm, cook only what you're eating right now. Not a batch for the week. Just this meal. Food number 3. Chicken reheated in the microwave. This is one of the most common habits in households everywhere. And the danger here comes from a specific feature of one very familiar kitchen appliance that creates invisible pockets inside food that look perfectly safe from the outside. You made golden roasted chicken thighs last night, cooked all the way through. You saved them in a container in the fridge. Today at lunch, You put 2 pieces on a plate, microwave them for 2 minutes, touch the outside, it feels hot, and you eat. This is a completely normal Tuesday in millions of homes. And the way that reheating happened, microwave, 2 minutes, touch the outside to check, is exactly where the danger lives. Here's something most people don't know. A microwave doesn't heat food the way an oven does. It excites water molecules inside the food to generate heat. But different parts of the same piece of chicken have different water content, different density, different fat distribution. Some parts reach temperatures that kill bacteria. Other parts, just centimeters away, remain at exactly the temperature where bacteria not only survive but actively multiply. These are called cold spots. You cannot see them. You cannot feel them from the outside. The outside can be scorching hot, while the center sits at the precise temperature that dangerous bacteria prefer. 2 bacteria make this specifically terrifying with chicken: Salmonella and Campylobacter. Both are present in raw poultry at very high rates. Proper initial cooking eliminates them. But recontamination after cooking is entirely possible on your hands, on the counter, on utensils, and those cold spots in your microwave reheated chicken are warm, moist, protein-rich environments, not death zones for bacteria. Incubators. A salmonella infection is not a mild afternoon of discomfort. It is a systemic biological event. High fever, violent cramping, sustained vomiting, and diarrhea. Your entire immune system mobilized for war. And while that war is happening in your gut, your pancreas is not watching from the sidelines. It is pulled into the inflammatory response every single time. What concerns me most as a doctor is not the full dramatic poisoning event. It's the repeated low doses too small to knock you completely down, but enough to keep your gut in a state of chronic low-grade inflammation. Those are the exposures that accumulate quietly over years into conditions your pancreas simply cannot escape. Be completely honest with yourself right now. When you reheat chicken, do you verify it's steaming hot all the way through the thickest part? Or do you touch the outside and assume the inside matches? That gap between assumption and reality is exactly where salmonella lives. The fix: use the oven. 175 degrees Celsius, covered tightly with foil. 15 to 20 minutes. The moist trapped heat reaches every part uniformly, no cold spots anywhere. Or eat it cold. Chicken shredded into a salad eliminates every single risk we just discussed. 0 reheating, 0 cold spots, 0 inflammatory cascade reaching your pancreas. Food number 4. Fried foods reheated in oil. This is what most people consider the most ordinary thing in the world. Those crispy leftover fries from last night. The fried chicken you wrapped in foil because throwing it away felt wasteful. The spring roll sitting in the corner of your fridge. The next day, you toss it in the microwave. Or worse, you heat a little fresh oil in the pan to crisp it back up again. It is exactly at that moment that you activate a chemical process inside that food that your pancreas has almost no defense against. Cooking oils, specifically the ones most people have on their kitchen shelf right now. Sunflower oil, corn oil, soybean oil, are highly unstable under heat. When you heat them a second time, they undergo deep oxidative breakdown. And that process generates a class of toxic compounds called aldehydes. The 2 most dangerous ones tracked by scientists are 4, hydroxynonenal and malondialdehyde. Free radicals released from reheated oil are like hundreds of sparks flying off an out-of-control fire. Each one, small, flying randomly in every direction, landing on your healthy cells, destroying them from the inside, including the DNA that tells each cell how to grow, when to stop, and when to die the way it's supposed to. When that code is corrupted enough times, the cell stops following instructions. It starts multiplying when it shouldn't. That is how cancer begins. Your pancreas is one of the most vulnerable organs to this specific type of attack. When you eat food loaded with these aldehyde compounds, your body triggers a full inflammatory response to try to contain the damage. If you're eating reheated fried food multiple times a week, your body never gets to turn that inflammatory response off. A permanently inflamed pancreas is a pancreas trying to do delicate precision work inside a burning building. Every enzyme it tries to produce, every signal it tries to send, every cell it tries to protect, all happening in a chemical war zone it was never designed to survive in. Eventually, it cannot keep up. And when it stops keeping up, you don't get a warning. You just get a diagnosis. The fix. Absolutely non-negotiable, never reheat fried food in oil. Not fresh oil, not the same oil. Never. Use a dry oven at 180 degrees Celsius or an air fryer. Dry heat brings back the texture without generating a single additional molecule of chemical damage. Frying oil is single-use only. Fry today, discard it today. Food number 5. Reheated potatoes. This final food is unique because it carries not one but two completely separate chemical dangers happening at the exact same time. Two different attacks on your pancreas from a single bowl of leftovers. Think about the roasted potatoes from last Sunday. Perfect, golden, crispy outside, fluffy inside. You made a whole tray. Monday evening, you take them out, toss them in a pan with a little oil to crisp them back up, and eat them feeling resourceful. And right now, inside those potatoes, two completely independent chemical processes are attacking your pancreas from two different angles simultaneously. The first attack comes from a compound called acrylamide. The International Agency for Research on Cancer classifies it as a probable human carcinogen. It forms when starchy foods are exposed to temperatures above 120 degrees Celsius. That golden color you love on a perfectly roasted potato, that's the Maillard reaction. And acrylamide forms as part of that exact same process. Here's what makes reheated potatoes specifically more dangerous than freshly cooked ones. When a potato is cooked once and then refrigerated, its surface dries out. Sugars and amino acids concentrate at that dry surface. When you apply high heat a second time, the chemical conditions for acrylamide formation are more favorable than they were during the first cooking. You may be getting a meaningfully higher carcinogen load from your reheated potatoes than from the original meal. That is direct carcinogenic damage to pancreatic cells. The second attack exhausts your pancreas in a way that compounds silently over years. When potatoes are cooked and then cooled completely in the refrigerator, something remarkable happens. Part of the regular starch inside converts into resistant starch. Resistant starch is genuinely protective. It moderates your blood sugar. It slows glucose absorption. It feeds beneficial gut bacteria. A cold-cooked potato is metabolically a completely different food than a hot one. The moment you reheat that potato at high heat, that resistant starch converts back into regular, rapidly digested starch. The beneficial transformation that happened during cooling is destroyed in 90 seconds in your microwave. What was gentle on your blood sugar is now a spike. And who responds to that spike? Your pancreas. Specifically, the beta cells that produce insulin, forced into a sudden, large, urgent release. Once, completely normal. But 3 times a week, every week, for years? Those beta cells are being driven into repeated emergency production events. They exhaust. They become less responsive. They degrade. And progressive beta cell exhaustion is a documented pathway toward the chronic conditions that precede pancreatic cancer. 2 attacks at the same time. Every single time you reheat those potatoes. And if you refry them in oil, you are stacking on top of that everything we discussed in food number 4. Maximum acrylamide, maximum oil oxidation. Every single hazard from this entire conversation concentrated into one dish. The fix. Eat your cooked potatoes cold whenever you possibly can. Cold potato salad with good olive oil, a little vinegar, fresh herbs. It sounds strange until you try it. You keep all the resistant starch. Eliminate additional acrylamide, and give your pancreatic beta cells a meal they don't have to fight against. If you need them warm, steam them, or use the lowest heat that just takes the chill off. Warm, not hot. And never refry an already cooked potato. What I want you to carry out of here today. We have now gone through all 5. And before you close this out, I need to tell you something that matters more than all the information we just covered. If you have been doing these things for years, it is not too late. I have witnessed this enough times to tell you with complete honesty. The human body has a capacity for recovery that genuinely humbles me after all my years in medicine. Chronic inflammation can come down. Damaged cells are constantly being replaced by new ones. The conditions we discussed are not a sentence. They are a starting point. And every better choice you make from this moment forward moves you in the right direction. What I'm asking you to carry out of here today is not fear. Fear paralyzes. What I'm asking you to carry is the specific, practical knowledge that lets you make one different choice tonight. When you open that refrigerator, fried foods reheat dry in an oven or air fryer, never in oil. Leafy greens, eat them cold, or cook only what you need right now. Rice, cool it fast, refrigerate within the hour, eat within 24 hours. Chicken oven, not microwave, or eat it cold. Potatoes cold whenever you can, or the gentlest possible low heat. Small habits, practiced consistently over months and years. Your pancreas has been working for you in complete silence every single day of your life, never once asking for anything in return. It's time to start giving something back. I'm Dr. Atul Gawande. Take care of yourselves. And think of one person you love right now, your mother, your partner, your closest friend, someone who reheats rice every day and has never heard any of this. Share this with them, not tomorrow, right now. That might be the most important thing you do today.